Today we're going to be talking about how to import donations into the donations module using a text file. So I know over the last year and a half, a lot of different churches and organizations that we work with have moved to online giving, working with different companies that do that. And with that, people are then looking for a way to be able to import that online giving quickly and easily. So we have some companies that we've partnered up with directly for the import process, but then we also have the option for all those other companies that are now emerging that do handle online donations as well, and how to take a text file from them and then import it into the donations module. So it's going to be a pretty short and sweet webinar today. There is a document that I'm following. It's attached to the webinar in the handout section. If you just expand that handout section, there's a PDF there. Feel free to download that. Like always, I am recording this webinar, so I'll get it cleaned up. I'll put it out on the website here by the end of the day so you can re-watch it or share it with someone else that you think might find this information beneficial. Okay. All right, so let's jump in here. So first thing I want to show you is the different formats for the text file. So you can have a tab separated or a comma separated file. If you're looking at different online giving companies, I would ask them what their availability is for exporting or getting you a text file of your giving that you can then use to import into Church Windows. Let me open an example of one here for you. This is just an easy one that I made up to show you how the text file should look. So there's 4 main pieces of information that Church Windows has to have to be able to import a text file into Church Windows. Okay. That's going to be the giver ID, so who made the donation, the account ID, that's the specific giving account or fund that they want their money to go to, the amount, how much they gave, and then also the date, so the date they gave the gift. So you should be able to see on your screen, an example of a text file. So this is a tab delimited one. So between each of these columns there's a tab as the space. Now if it was a comma separated file, instead of the big tabbed space there would be a comma between each column. Either type of those files will work. Okay. Now when you go into donations, Elaine's saying I can't see that attachment. It's under the handout section on your GoToWebinar toolbar. It'll say 1 out of 5. Hit the little down arrow there, Elaine, and then it'll expand and it'll show you the PDF you can click on. It's also out on our website too, churchwindows.com. You can find it there. So in donations up at the top under import donations, here are all the companies that we have preset formats for. But if the company you're using isn't one of these, then you're going to want to go down to this text file option here. Okay. Then as soon as you select that, it needs you to put in the field names or the column headers from the file. So Church Windows looks at the correct location when pulling the data. Okay, so for example, the date field. If we reference that text file again, it simply just says the word date. So as you can see here, under date field, it knows to look at the date column. All right, now giver field. What is the column header of the giver field? It actually says giver ID. So I need to change this to say giver ID. So when it's looking for the giver, it knows to specifically look at this field. All right. Same thing for amount. It just says amount, so that matches, so it knows to look in this column for the amounts. And then the account field, which fund or giving account they want their money to go to, it's actually called ACCTID. So I need to change this, ACCTID. So now we know when the program is looking for the date field, it's looking simply for date. Giver field, it's looking at giver ID. Amount, simply amount, and then the account field, it's looking for account ID. All right, now this is a tab delimited file, so down at the bottom, make sure under the file type you have tab delimited selected. Okay, now if you're going, again, with a company that can send you a text file, they're going to either email it to you. You might be able to download the text file from their website directly and save it. The key with that is you need to save that file somewhere then on your local machine, or even if it's on like a USB, somewhere where you are able to get access to that file, because that is then going to be imported directly into Chuch Windows. Okay, so if they email it to you, you're going to have to save the attachment. Next step, once you get your column headers set up, you're going to go to the Imported Donations tab. From here, you're going to click Select Import File, and then I'm going to browse to the location of that file, so it's right here. As soon as I select that text file, it's going to take me here. This is the Unmatched Items from Import tab. The first couple times you do this, you are going to have to make the matches in Chuch Windows. So when Chuch Windows looks at the file, it then links up the fields to the corresponding people, or the givers, and the corresponding funds, or the accounts, okay? So the company that we went with, they used different number IDs to specify who's who when giving through their company. So you then have to make those matches. So through that company, if their ID is all these ones, you have to verify who the person is that belongs to that specific ID. All right. Running a simple report with that online giving company, you should be able to easily figure out what ID belongs to what person, and then make your match in Chuch Windows. So Chuch Windows then knows from this point forward, anytime it sees this 5555555 number, it knows that that's Jen Arnold and that's the giver that needs to be credited. Okay. Down here at the bottom, you have a Save Giver Matches button. Once you save the giver matches, the program's always going to remember what ID belongs with what person. You're only going to have to continue doing matches as more people sign up to give through the online giving company. Then over here we have our accounts. So these are your giving accounts. These are the different funds that people want their money to go to when they give. Same thing, you might have to run a simple report through that company to figure out what the ID is specifically for. But then once you have it, we're going to go ahead and make those matches. There's general fund. And then again, once you make the matches, you save them, the software is always going to remember that and credit the corresponding account, okay? Now that all of our things have been matched, it says click the Imported Donations tab to create donations. So we're going to go back to this first tab, and we're going to see on that specific text file, we have two dates of giving. We have the 7th, or the 1st, and the 8th. And then if you hit the plus sign even further, you can see who gave and how much. All right. Once everything's matched and we're back here, top right, you're going to hit Create Donations. This is what is then going to take that imported giving and create the batches for it, okay? So these are imported batches similarly to an unposted batch. We still have one more step at this point. We have to post it. Now you do have the option to add a batch code if you wish. A lot of people I talk to, they like to put in an online giving batch code of some sort. Or maybe the name of the company that you're using. That way, when you look at the rest of your batches, you can quickly see what came from online giving and what didn't. Down here at the bottom, you do have the option to post the batch or print. So some people I talk to, they like to print an unposted batch report. Maybe they want to look it over before they go in and actually click the post button. You can definitely do that by hitting the print button. But if everything looks good and you're ready to post, down here at the bottom, you're going to hit the post batch. So it's telling us Thursday, July 8th does not fall on a standard posting day, which is typically a Sunday. Do you want to continue? So we want to say yes. So one of the great things about online giving is people can give any day of the week. So we'll say yes, and then that leaves our remaining batch. I'm going to hit post batch on that one as well. Again, Thursday the 1st does not fall on a standard posting day of Sunday. Do you want to continue? We're going to say yes. And now those two batches are no longer here, so we can close out of this, close out of this, and at this point the batches are going to be handled just like any other batch that you would have entered. Biggest difference down here is that it now has a batch code of EFT or online donations. All right. If you want to print a posted batch report, which I know is a really popular thing people like to print off. So after the batch has been posted, if you want to get a report out of that, you can do that here in the posted batches screen. Go down, highlight the batch itself, hit print, print again, just like you would with any other batch. And you are going to get that posted batch report up at the top. It's going to say posted, and that's how we know that this giving has been posted into Church Windows. All right. Now, last step would be if you are using the accounting module, your next step would then be to transfer this over to accounting. So here are the two dates here that we were just working with. We have a lot of really, really good information, detailed information on how to transfer this giving over into accounting, because there's most likely going to be fees that you need to account for. So we have a whole nother webinar on handling the fees when transferring over to accounting. I would highly recommend that you check that out before you start doing any transfers. But it's out on our website, on our support center at churchwindows.com. Just search fees. And there's a whole bunch of really helpful information. There's a document and a video out there for handling those online giving fees. And that is everything that I needed to go over with you guys today.